Is this what Asmongold just does all day? He hears somebody say something and then he just goes, yeah, yup, crazy. Chat, that's crazy. He can't even address points that don't agree with him. He just rolls on and pretends like it didn't happen.
That was a joke? Okay. All right, let's move on. There's a lot of people that say stupid. They're not joking, so I'm not sure.
I think you're one of them. He's just making things up.
I think Trump is doing what Trump always does, which is destabilize things to a degree where nobody knows what's happening and then take advantage of the chaos.
If you think that's what he's doing, why do you like him so much?
The rich are punishing Trump for siding with the neglected and humiliated American working class.
The richest person in the entire world sides with Trump. Ban React content. Probably you won't have a job either. I can handle the real world. I could drive a bus. I could do a real job. Asmongold can't even brush his teeth. Sometimes I feel like there are people who will say something so incredibly and extraordinarily fucking stupid that I feel stupid for not understanding what they were saying. All right, guys. You guys have been sending me Asmongold videos about the tariffs in the Discord. I watched a little bit of this one. Let's just see what we got here. I love it when people just scroll through Twitter and take everything as fact without any real objection. But let's see what we got.
Oh boy. Oh no.
Oh no. Not.
Is this what I think it is?
Is this Nancy Pelosi from like 40 years ago talking about a topic? Oh no. Is this what I think it is?
How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo?
I don't know. That's not a bad criticism even by today's standards. If we were just having a trade war with China, I wouldn't really have a problem. And I think most people wouldn't either. Trump did a trade war with China in his first term. Nobody really cared. I mean, some people I'm sure bitched about it, but most people are like, oh, okay, whatever.
Man.
As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those
She was only 130 years old back then.
Ooh,
who say
crazy.
we shouldn't link human rights and trade.
Asmongold, really? Come on, look at you, bud. I don't think you can make these jokes, man.
Trade and proliferation and trade, I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that
Okay. What is this meltdown for?
Man, that's crazy.
Why?
Another chart. This chart reminds me of another chart I've seen recently. So this is a while ago.
What chart could this possibly remind him of? This is a chart with just China and trading with China.
the business community is asking each and every one of you, each and every one of us, to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China.
That's a lot.
The 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996.
Let's see what it's at right now.
It's much higher.
How many money? So now, so it was then, it's, what's the number here? It says 34 billion. And it says that now it's 295 billion. Okay, so it went up.
Okay.
Yeah, it went up.
Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure
I just don't understand. What's the point?
has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%.
That's crazy.
Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows certain industries into China.
So just to be clear, from what I'm looking at, this seems to be a conversation about making China a most favored nation status. And what that basically means, from what I'm reading, is that you can't discriminate against them from a trading partner perspective, which I would imagine means that you can't implement any additional tariffs onto them or engage in any type of trade war. That seems reasonable for her to be objecting to making them a most favored nation status. Because you should be able to engage in some kind of trade war with China in case, because they engage in shitty tactics. Like they'll subsidize their markets so they can undercut world market values and impede into other people's markets, right? So it makes sense that you'd want to tariff them. What does this have to do with tariffing every other country in the world? I don't understand.
China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China.
Where have I heard
this
before?
On the other hand, the U.S. allows China
Nowhere.
to flood
Cotton 480p.
our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%, and it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction. In terms of jobs, this is the biggest and cruelest hoax of all. Not only do we not have market access, not only do they have prohibitive tariffs, not only are our exports not let in very specifically,
She's getting mad.
but China benefits with at least 10 million jobs from U.S.-China trade.
Wow.
The president, in his statement, requesting this special waiver, said that China trade supports 170,000 jobs in the United States.
It's a crazy
170,000
ratio.
jobs Whereas
What a ratio.
our imports from China support 10 million jobs at least. Fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser. And one of the reasons that it is because in order, well, first let me just make another point, and that is that our colleagues on the other side of this issue will say the trade with China, exports to China have increased 3 times in the last 10 years. They have. But they fail to mention that imports from China have increased 11 times, thereby leading to this huge trade deficit. The other issue, in addition, if intellectual property...
Listening to Asmongold just look at this video and try to tie some kind of hypocrisy to the Democratic Party now in 2025 compared to 1996 is just so brain melting and stupid, right? I mean, we are comparing Nancy Pelosi in 1996 speaking out against China and making them a most favored nation status to not discriminate against them trade-wise versus tariffing every single country at the same time. These are not comparable. Like I said, in Trump's first term, he engaged in a trade war with China, and there was very little opposition to it. And so Asmongold doing this is like he's looking for this to be some kind of an own or a dunk. It's not. The only people who would fall for this and think that this is an own are idiots. These are completely non-comparable. There's a difference between going into a trade war with one country versus every one of them, especially our most powerful and loyal allies like Canada. Well, it's insane. I don't understand what he's doing here. Like, what is this guy's job? Like, what does he do? He just sits on Twitter all day, scrolls through Twitter in his feed, and then just goes, "Look, there's a hypocrisy," but he doesn't even understand the information that he's seeing. He's just looking to be like, "Yep, see, here we go." This is like loser shit. What the fuck?
Property is a $2 billion, $3 billion loss.
Also, just to be clear, like we've shifted our economy. Like we've shifted from producing goods as much to services. Like we do more end of the line production, and we produce more services now. We produce more services now. So like banking, healthcare, technology servicing, things of that nature. So we have a different economy. We have different things that we export at this point too. So it's just very different from what we used to do.
Technology transfer is in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
This is so fucking funny for me to watch.
Why?
Yeah, this is really funny.
It's not funny at all. What's funny about it?
This isn't AI, and now she's against it? A lot of people are.
What?
If you want to sell to China, your products into China, the Chinese insist that you open a factory there. They misappropriate your technology, open factories of their own, and then say to you, now we want to see your plan for export. That's as simply as I can say it briefly. But the fact is, this isn't about products made in America. The Chinese want American products that are made in China. And the most serious of these transfers of technology are in the airline industry, where Boeing tail sections.
Bro, doesn't Trump bring this shit up too?
No, okay. He's just so stupid.
About the airplanes, because it's like the military at aircraft and shit. Oh my God.
Didn't Trump bring up airplane production? Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, he brought up airplane production. Cool. No one's going to want to buy effectively like forms of weapons of war from us anymore because they hate us now. Like other countries are already trying to invest into factories to build different technologies that we generally produce because they no longer want to depend on us because we can't be trusted anymore.
This is so fucking funny.
No, it's
the Boeing 737s were
there's literally not a single bit of hypocrisy that he's showing us here. Okay.
Mostly made in Wichita, Kansas. Now they are made in Shen province, where workers make $50 a month. And they had the transfer of the technology and the transfer of the jobs has taken place. General Motors, Ford, they're all fighting to get in to build factories there so they can make parts there. They want MFN so they can get those parts.
How did this happen?
Do you even know what MFN is, or are you just talking? I don't think he doesn't understand what he's hearing.
Really, I really don't know. That's crazy.
Not really.
Back into the United States.
What the fuck happened?
We are
I don't know.
exporting not low-tech jobs and textile jobs. We're exporting our technology. Now, if you take a country the size of China, with the very cheap, and in some instances, slave labor, the lack of market access, the rip-off of our intellectual property, the transfer of technology, a country that is not willing to play by the rules in any respect in this trade relationship, you have a serious threat not only to our relationship, but to the industrialized world. And if there's one message that I want our colleagues to understand today and our constituents is that on this day, your member of Congress could have drawn the line to say to the President of the United States, do something about this U.S.-China trade relationship that is a job loser for the United States. Yeah. And this brings us to the point that others have said, well, we can't isolate China. Do you think for 1 minute that with 10 million jobs at least and $35 billion and be over $40 billion this year in a trade surplus?
Where'd she go wrong? I don't know how this shift happened either.
There's been no shift. She's specifically just talking about China. Trump is talking about every country, including our own allies. You realize? How do you not realize that these are two very different things?
I think it happened after. So this is what I think happened.
Okay, let me know.
I think after Occupy Wall Street, There was an intentional injection of identity politics into the Democratic Party, and it shifted the values of the Democratic Party away from workers' rights and working in the best interest of, average Americans, and it shifted it from that into working in the best interest of different identity groups.
What? What the? I don't even know how to contest that because it's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. What? You're telling me after Occupy Wall Street, so after the Great Recession, everything turned to identity politics? Where did you get that information from? 2020 is when identity politics heavily influenced us because everybody was home and they were feeling very virtuous and they were kind of virtue signaling about a lot of different things. People had time, they were home, and they were being very loud about different political things. Things moved very quickly to the left. Here's what I like legitimately think as to how everything got so crazy. The internet is a big factor. I think that people generally want to mean well. And then once everybody was home during COVID, we were more politically left. The internet accelerates that left-leaning momentum, not just politic-wise, but also technologically. We move very quickly in a progressive way. People ended up getting battered over the head with every single type of left-leaning politic or left-leaning political anything, because we were all home and we were all bored and we were all getting very riled up over a lot of different things. Like the George Floyd scenario wouldn't have happened if there was no COVID, but everybody was home. And then it went too far left very quickly and it slingshot back and went really far right. And that's why we have Trump now. That's what really happened. But where did he get this whole Occupy Wall Street idea? I don't really understand what you're talking about. What?
And I think that I believe also that this was intentional, and I think it was a conspiracy. I think that a lot of the elites got scared of Occupy Wall Street, and after that, they started pushing a lot more identity politics to keep people distracted with them, so they don't look at the actual people that are taking all the money, which are the people that are on Wall Street, that have all the stocks, that are in the one.
Oh, this is a protest movement that began. Okay, this is in 2011. I still don't understand how this is where. Well, it was okay. So it was. It was because of the Great Recession. It just wasn't in 2007. But still, like, what are you talking about?
Percent. So I think that's what's happened. 9/11 also added on top of that? Yeah. And so...
Yeah. Well, why do you think that 9/11 had anything to do with that? It's because of the 24/7 news cycle.
Confuse the issues. Yes, they did confuse the issues a lot. And I think the Democratic Party got hijacked by the, like special interests and things like that after Occupy Wall Street.
You don't think that the Republican Party there's no special interests involved in the Republican Party? Is he trying to insinuate that it's only the Democratic Party? I think that the Republican Party responds very well to populism because they don't really operate with any facts. This is the party that doesn't believe in climate change or dinosaurs existing or science in general or vaccines. So I think that that's what it was.
And I think that was the real turning point.
Okay.
All those billions of dollars in surplus that the Chinese are going to walk away, where are they going to take 35 to 40% of their exports? Who's going to buy them? This is what sustains the regime. The funding and the jobs. They can't have those people out of work. They have to be at work exporting to the United States.
Mm-hmm. I think she brings up some great points. She does. Yep, true.
Okay, what does it have to do with the tariffs of today?
Further, what they have said is that we need to not worry about manufacturing in America.
So, how many years has this guy been 80? This guy's been 80 for fucking 50 years.
Because what we should establish is a policy of unfettered free trade. We don't need tariffs. What we need is to allow corporate America the freedom to throw American workers out on the street. People are making 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour, healthcare, pensions, throw them out on the street because somehow, Madam President, we are going to create wealth in America and good paying jobs in America as we shut down plants, we move to China, corporations.
He was right. He was right about everything. Everything that he said was going to happen, happened.
There, pay workers 20, 30 cents an hour, and we bring the product back into this country. And anyone who goes shopping in a mall knows how difficult it is today to find the product made in America. But that is the philosophy, and I have to say, in that regard, the champion, and he is honest on this one. Senator McCain has been criticized recently for not being the most honest candidate we have seen in terms of his ads and so forth. He has been honest on this one. He is the lead advocate of unfettered free trade. And that's an also important part of this right-wing ideology, that it is good for America that corporations can go to China and bring products back into this country.
How the fuck did this get shifted? This is crazy.
It didn't. I don't... I'm like flabbergasted watching this because this is one of the stupidest videos I've ever seen in my life. Just, I'm honestly shocked. Just to be clear here, you're seeing a bunch of Democrats from 20 or 30 years ago talk about how we need tariffs on China because they were taking away jobs and they are basically abusing different economic systems to steal work from America. True. And we're somehow applying that to today, where Donald Trump is putting massive tariffs on everybody. What do tariffs on China have to do with tariffing Canada and the European Union and every country in the world? I don't understand the type of person who watches an Asmongold video and goes like, dude, this guy makes so much sense. Like you legitimately have to have a traumatic brain injury to think that this is any intelligent commentary or any intelligent point being made. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I just like, I feel like a fucking moron. Like I'm in crazy town when I have to say, like, point out the obvious, which is, hey, tariffing just China, going to trade in a trade war with just one country isn't a problem, but going in a trade war with every country, that's destructive, and you literally cannot do that, especially since we're allies, incredibly powerful allies with a lot of these countries, like Canada, and we have a deficit with Canada. We also have like 8 times more people in our population per capita. If you ignore the deficit for a second, you do basic math, per capita, they spend 6 times more per American per year on our products than we do on theirs. There's like $7,800 a year. The average Canadian spends on American products. We spend $1,200 a year on Canadian products. Oh, we have a deficit. We have more people than them. Of course we're going to buy more. We have a very strong currency. Of course we're going to buy more. We've shifted our economy to a services economy and less of a goods production because what are we going to do? Put factories in America to create little plastic umbrellas for your fucking cocktails? Asmongold he just is a headache. Oh my God. This guy's a fucking moron.
Literal 180, yes.
What?
They delayed for too long. China manipulated their currency. They've been doing that for a long time, as far as I know. Yeah, but now you have to deal with the reality of 2025 and solutions from 2008 are not viable anymore.
Well, that's a good point, actually.
In some cases, I think you're right. Not in this one. I think this is a general reality. Uh-oh, uh-oh.
All right, what else?
When it comes to the international system of commerce and trade, it's legitimate for poor countries to continue to seek access to wealthier markets. And by the way, wealthier markets, that's not the big problem that you're having. A small African country is sending you tea and flowers. That's not your biggest economic challenge. It's also proper for advanced economies like the United States to insist on reciprocity.
Man.
Nations like China that are no longer solely poor countries, to make sure that they're providing access to their markets and that they stop taking intellectual property and hacking our servers.
Man. There's a lot of these, huh? You mean reciprocal tariffs? Yeah, I guess so, Brad. What happened? I don't know.
What would you do differently, Donald?
1988, okay? This is before I was even fucking born. 37 years ago.
What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share.
37 fucking years he's been waiting to do this.
This has nothing to do with what everyone else is talking about. What?
Man.
We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets.
That's right. See, look at all the Nintendo Switches that they have here. What the hell are they thinking they can do?
He's talking about our allies. What are you talking about? He's talking about our allied countries and being harder on them. But by this time, he's in the pockets of Russia.
It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Albert. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here.
See, this is another thing, is that there's a lot of like systematic things.
I don't understand why you're tying this TikTok into everything else that we just watched. Everything else is a bunch of Democrats from like 30 years ago talking about how we need to be more aggressive against China when it comes to tariffs. That's a fair point. This is Donald Trump talking about how we need to be aggressive against all of our own allies. Why are you tying this one to these are completely different points.
Things that make selling products in other markets and economies harder to do, and they're not just explicitly tariffs, but they function as tariffs. And I think that that's like probably another part of the messaging that's getting left out.
Like what? Like what is specifically do you have a problem with? Like you're talking about cars? Like America likes really big things. American cars are not going to sell in Japan. Japan likes small things. America likes big things. Some Americans like small things. Not enough Japanese people like big things. All right? If they did, nobody would fuck their men.
And I'm not talking about the VAT.
Here they sell their cars, their VCRs. They
What are you talking about then? Elaborate on that one.
knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect
Hold on, just wait. Did you see what I thought he just said?
somebody that's beating cars, their VCRs. They knock the hell out of our companies. And hey,
Yeah, of course. Who the fuck wants to buy it? People in Japan don't want to buy an American fucking car.
I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating
He still says this shit.
Okay.
He even said that about, he's like, Shinzo, I know, like, that's, you were getting us, and I know you were getting us. It's okay.
the hell out of this country.
Yeah.
Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not.
Is that even true? So just to be clear, Kuwait apparently sells a ton of oil, and they have a very robust welfare system because of that, and they export a lot of their stuff. So I don't really know what that has to do with America. Wait a minute. That was a silly thing that you just said, but okay.
Paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds
Why
like
would they pay us 25% of what they're making? Oh, what? I don't understand. I mean, you could put tariffs on them, but okay.
political presidential talk to me. And I know
Man.
Wow. That's what it sounds like. It doesn't mean that she agrees with it, but okay.
That's crazy.
What's crazy about it? What is so crazy about that? I don't understand.
How about that?
What is crazy? Is this what Asmongold just does all day? He hears somebody say something and then he just goes, yeah. Yup, crazy. Chat. That's crazy. What's crazy? He never explains himself. He says something and then just doesn't explain it. He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you?
What's
would you ever?
Probably
crazy
not,
about that?
But I do get tired of seeing the country ripped
Why
off.
would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally because I really...
Man. Then Obama
What?
humiliated him at the dinner and history was made? That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a vicious rumor floating around that I think could really hurt Mitt Romney. I heard he passed universal health care when he was governor of Massachusetts. Someone should get to the bottom of that. And I know just the guy to do it. Donald Trump is here tonight. Now, I know that he's taken some flack lately, but no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing?
Wasn't Donald Trump like pushing the nonsense that Barack Obama didn't really have a real birth certificate, like American birth certificate? Isn't that why he made that joke? I don't understand what this is.
Man.
What is man? What are you doing? What man? What?
What really happened in
What the fuck is this? Holy shit! What do you explain yourself?
Roswell?
Oh my god, is this how he does it? Is this how he has like a massive audience because he just watches other people talk and goes, "Man." And he just lets you assume what he's saying? Is this all Asmongold does? He just sits down and goes, "Yeah, man, crazy. That's crazy. I knew it. There, something, a word. Huh. You apply what you think I'm saying to my words. And look, lots of people like me. That's crazy. Yeah. So there's just nothing there. It's hot. How, dude, why is this guy allowed to do this type of content? I don't understand. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Fucking ban React content. I know, Papa, you won't have a job either. I can handle the real world. I could drive a bus. I could do a real job. Asmongold can't even brush his teeth. So I think that, you know what? I'm happy to lose my job if it means that he loses his job too. Because this is insane.
And
What's crazy is that he actually did go and declassify the documents for JFK. The funniest thing is everybody's...
What?
Man.
moon landing. Focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing?
Man.
What?
What really happened in Roswell? And
What's crazy is that he actually did go and declassify the documents for JFK.
What? Obama was making fun of Trump here because Trump was pushing the conspiracy theory that Obama wasn't an American citizen. And so Obama made a joke about how he believes in conspiracies like aliens and faking the moon landing, and then you just brought up JFK. What does that have to do with anything?
The funniest thing is everybody's laughing about this, but he did it.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
What?
There are Biggie and Tupac.
That, you know what? Actually, that's a really... Whatever happened with Tupac? Yeah, what's the FBI files on Tupac? Because nobody knows what the fuck happened there. I feel like this is a big deal. People say it was Diddy. They say it was Suge Knight. You know, I don't know. But we got to look into this.
Why? I don't care.
Uh-oh.
All kidding aside, obviously we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. For example, no, seriously, just recently in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice, at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Lil Jon or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that will keep me up at night.
Man.
Man, what? Man, what?
If only they knew. That was 14 years ago? Yep. Thanks, Obama. I know. This was in 2011. That's fucking hilarious.
What's hilarious?
Oh my God. And watch Obama saying Trump is never going to be president. I've seen that too. Why does Obama, the president, watching reality TV instead of fixing the country? Well, I mean, come on. Everybody needs a chance to relax. I mean, what the fuck? He can't watch TV at all? I mean, you can have it on in the background while you're signing something. It's like he's going to forget how to sign his name. But chill the fuck out, man. Yeah, watch it live. Watch the Oprah interview. I mean, I've seen a lot of the other ones, right? Read the comments.
What does this video exist for? Is this just meant to be like, please, Donald Trump, I'll take your cock down my throat? What is this?
The comments are turned off. I wonder why.
I don't know.
Now, there we go. And what is this? You're watching us in the background working right now? Yes, exactly. And it's just crazy how this has all happened. It really is. It's funny for me to see this too. But yeah, it seems like also, we just saw this one before. And is this... Oh, this is him riding around. This is him golfing right now. Okay, I got it. And I had a direct call with a Larry of Communist Party. Wait, Vietnam's communist? I didn't even know that. Who told me Vietnam wants to cut their tariffs down to zero. If they make an agreement to the U.S., I thank them on behalf of our country, and I said I look forward to meeting in the near future. Damn, okay. Yeah, he's on break, bro. He's golfing the stock market. Yeah.
Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it.
We just watched this.
He's just been doing this for a long time, which is fucking crazy. And let's see if there's anything else. Oh, this is...
Yesterday, President Trump declared that it was, in fact, Liberation Day. His giant tariff policy. He just dropped on the market unilaterally.
Is this all Asmongold does? He just watches like a minute of Twitter post? I don't get it. I don't understand. What's that? I don't think I have that in me. I don't think I'm enough of a fucking moron to be able to do something like that. Because August was like, Papa Guy, you should try, is my editor now. W August, guys, in the chat. She's like, hey, like try watching like a daily dose of, I think, like videos or whatever. So I watched it and I was like, I have nothing to apply to this. I can't make this content. Like it just didn't feel right. I always appreciate the suggestions, of course. But Asmongold just does that with politics. He just goes, yeah. It's weird.
Probably unconstitutionally. Trump's reciprocal tariffs impose hundreds of billions of dollars in new taxes on Americans, be the largest tax increase since the Revenue Act of 1968. One of the biggest tax increases on American consumers in the history of America. And it's going to cost American consumers. It will cost American producers who use inputs from other countries.
Okay.
It does keep getting bigger.
What keeps getting bigger?
I didn't believe the memes.
What?
But it does. Like that's crazy. Why?
Trump's industrial average plummeted immediately more than 1,000 points. The S&P 500 plummeted more than 3%. The NASDAQ plummeted almost 4.5%. There are real-world implications for this sort of stuff. Trade wars are, in fact, not good and not easy to win, particularly if you don't actually have a plan. It is predicated on a bad idea of how international trade works. A fundamental misunderstanding of trade deficits. Trade deficits they're an accounting procedure. Trade deficits have pretty much nothing to do with the health of an economy. I can name you a period in American history where there was a fairly large surplus in America's balance of trade. The entire Great Depression.
Oh. So this is the reason a lot of people have noted, like, the Daily Wire is laying a lot of people off.
So you're not going to address the point that he makes there? The point he's making is that a trade deficit doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting taken advantage of. And then he's like, hey, during the Great Depression, we had a trade surplus. I don't know if you guys know this. Great Depression was pretty bad. And Asmongold's like, oh, let's just move on to a new point. I don't understand why people don't hold him to task on that. I don't get it. Like, yes, we have a trade deficit, and it depends on what country we have a deficit with. Like Canada, for instance, we have a deficit with them, but we're also much bigger than them. And per person, they spend exponentially more money on average per person buying our goods than we do. So clearly, we benefit more from that deal. With China, you can make a reasonable criticism of like, oh, hey, listen, they engage in policies of, subsidizing different markets, try to dominate other markets or world markets. So we should have tariffs on them. That's great. I think that Trump's trade war with them in his first term was great. There's no problem with that. But address the claim. Because one of the reasons why a country would have a massive trade deficit with other countries is because they are so economically powerful that they buy from other countries. We have a very powerful, very strong dollar, and we have a very rich country of different people who buy stuff from other countries, like shit from the TikTok shop or things from AliExpress, which I buy all the time, even some goods from Amazon. You know, it doesn't mean we're getting taken advantage of. We just have a tremendous amount of money, and we aren't really a goods economy anymore. We don't really produce goods as much anymore. We're shifting to services, banking, technology, cybersecurity, different things like that. We're shifting to a more of a service economy. And so it makes sense that we'd be like, you know, we don't really care about making little plastic umbrellas for your margaritas or t-shirts, because you'll never have a sustainable wage making these types of things in this country, and those jobs will end up being automated very quickly. But this guy can't even address points that don't agree with him. He just rolls on and pretends like it didn't happen. He doesn't engage with the content that he looks at. He just watches it, and then he reads off a fucking script like a stupid fucking baby. Oh my God.
And I think one of the big reasons why a lot of these like traditional spaces like this are having problems communicating with the public is because they've become they've effectively become the authoritarian ruling class. And I think what happens with a lot of people, and this is what happens with politicians too, is that politicians initially go into into a job. And I think media, this is the same thing that happens.
Oh, and then they get whittled down. Their morals get whittled down. They become disconnected. Is that what he's going to say? Yeah.
Is that they initially go into the poll. Yeah, exactly. It's a good poll, right? And so they go into the media and they have good intentions, but over time they become the norm, right? The average. And so I'm not voting that one. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And so I feel.
So this has nothing to do with what's been said in the video in any capacity, just to be clear. Asmongold's rattling off. He's doing what Hassan does. He's just info dumping on you. Guys, I'm smart. You know, people go into things with good intentions and then they become disconnected from society and then they shift. Yes, Asmongold. That's you. You're a millionaire who sits down and watches other people's content and applies no meaningful commentary to it and just goes, oh man, yeah, cool, the whole time while misinforming your stupid audience, and you know, because you're a fucking idiot. So what are you talking about here? He's just giving us information to sound smart. Okay, cool. Wow, people do things and get disconnected when they make more money. What? Really? They get sucked into the system? Really? What are you doing? What do you do all day? He sits down and plays video games for 12 hours a day and then watches a minute worth of other people's videos on Twitter. Then he makes 1 million views off of it. He's just a fucking idiot rich incel.
I feel like the reason why people like Ben Shapiro, like apparently they're having to fire people and they're losing relevance, is because this messaging doesn't resonate with the average person, and the average person that's looking to consume media on the internet.
Why the fuck do I care about what the average person resonates with? If I cared about what the average person resonates with, then I would be a loser. Because let's be real, the average person is really stupid. Most people are very dumb. I'm not trying to be rude. The average person goes around and says, Democrat approval rating is 25%. Guess that means you guys are wrong. Really? That means that people are wrong? Why? Just because a topic is popular doesn't mean that it's correct. If everybody thought that Christianity was bad, would you be like, I guess it's bad now? Are you a fucking sheep? Are you an idiot? Like what? Like how do you engage in critical thinking skills? Like it's the same thing when I heard that fucking Harry Sisson guy going like, oh, if you look at the polling, people don't really respond well when they get canceled. Like people don't really like cancellations. Oh, why? I don't care whether you like cancellations or not. It's just like wrong. I don't understand. Like, why are we operating based on what's popular? We should be operating based on what's like right. But in order to parse that information, you have to be intelligent. You have to actually engage critically with things that you're looking at. But I guess, hey, you know what, dude? All we got to worry about though is what do we think's what's popular today, guys? What shoes should we wear today? Guys, should we buy Gucci today? What's popular? What's popular? What the fuck are you talking about?
Isn't looking to hear about like a top-down perspective of like the 1% ideas of the stock market. That's the reason why. I'm an average American. I don't care. Yeah, exactly. And but he's not wrong.
Well, the average American should probably care about the stock market. That's where your 401k is tied up into. It's going to be your retirement.
I think that you can be right and still lose. Like winning, like
no shit.
Being right doesn't mean that you're going to win. Now, usually it does, but it doesn't always mean that.
Certainly doesn't, because Trump wasn't right about anything and he still won.
How long until Republicans mutiny against Trump when they start losing a lot of their money?
True. Good question.
I think that will only happen if they lose control of the narrative to the public.
Are you just admitting that he's grifting? I don't understand.
Because if the public feels like basically the important thing for them to do is to make sure that they have a consistency of making the public believe that it's hurting the upper class more than it's hurting the working class. As long as you can maintain that perspective and people think that, they will be okay with the tariffs and
that's never been the game plan from Trump. This is what I'm talking about. What he's saying makes no sense. It's never been part of the Republican or the Trump strategy to make it seem like he's hurting the upper class. So this commentary doesn't make any sense. What he's trying to sell, as long as he can keep selling the idea that if we just wait it out, we'll bring jobs back to America. Yes, optically, Trump will still maintain his base and he'll still maintain presidency. But like, this is what I'm talking about when I say Asmongold is not very smart. Like, he doesn't really, he made a narrative up that the Trump administration is pushing. And he's like, as long as they can maintain this narrative, that's never been their narrative. Their narrative has never been like, oh, we got to hurt the rich to help the poor. That's generally would be more of like the Democratic narrative, I suppose. He's just made up he's just making things up. I don't even understand. He's a fucking idiot. What?
I'll be okay with the stock markets going down.
Pablo, when people say we will hurt for a little bit, but it'll be worth it, do you think they have no idea what's happening? I haven't heard any reason for Trump supporters why it'll be worth it. Because they think that a bunch of jobs are going to flood back into the market. That's what they think. It's not going to happen. It takes like anywhere from 2 to 10 years to put up a new fucking factory in the first place, depending on how big the factory is. And then a lot of the stuff that we want to even apparently build here or produce here will never pay enough to be a livable wage anyway. So
that's it. When Trump seizes when Trump seizes your funds, will your opinion change? Let me ask you something. What do you mean by that? So like, do you think
nobody claims he's going to seize your funds? Okay.
He's going to like go into my bank account and then like delete the money from my bank account and then put it in his bank account? Like, what do you mean by this? That was a joke? Okay. All right, let's move on. There's a lot of people that say stupid shit and they're not joking, so I'm not sure.
I think you're one of them. Cool stuff.
Yeah, but the only person who wins is Trump. U.S. citizens will lose. Yeah, I mean, sure. But like, I'm just telling you, like, that's the way that people will see it. That's it. Like, I don't know what else to say. And
nobody's seeing it like that.
I'll see if there's anything else to look at and find here. And man, it is pretty fucking crazy to see this happen. Especially like how extreme it is. Do you see a drama over schedule one developer being sued by studio? No, I didn't see that at all. And bro, it's always Trump is going to make the rich richer, and now he's going to take your money. You got baited. It's actually wild. Well, I didn't get baited. The guy just said something stupid, and I reacted to it. That's not even my fault. That's not getting baited, right? That's just how it is. So yes. Let me see if I find a few more of these.
Down about 8% problems, but what's also indisputable is the markets are down about 8% in just 2 days, and I'm getting all kinds of reaction from businesses, farmers in Wisconsin that are highly concerned about what's happening. So those are the facts. I don't know. All I can really do is kind of report to the reality to the administration, let them know, how these actions are impacting my constituents, those problems.
Yep, that's right. It'll be awful for farmers. Yeah, Trump's also trying to tank the 10-year Treasury with us needing to refinance $11 trillion in debt. Well, I'm not sure about that. And yeah, I haven't even read about that, I didn't hear about that. I have no idea. Like, it's the first time hearing of it. Stocks tanking.
Well, thank God he didn't fucking just say like, yeah, true.
Won't hurt the richest as much. They have money managers who will make money whether stocks go up or down. It's the middle class who will get hurt. Yeah, but the problem, here's the issue, is that the middle class is a lot smaller and higher up than you might imagine. So, like, that's really the difference, is that you have a lot of working class people that have felt disenfranchised, and these tariffs will create that effect.
What effect? What?
And I think that it will negatively affect them in that way.
I don't even think he made a point. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, but won't hurt the richest as much. And yeah, I haven't even read about that, I didn't even hear about that. I have no idea. Like, it's the first time hearing of it. Stocks tanking won't hurt the richest as much. They have money managers who will make money whether stocks go up or down. It's the middle class who will get hurt. Yeah, but the problem, here's the issue, is that the middle class is a lot smaller and higher up than you might imagine.
What is that? What does it mean, smaller and higher? What does that mean?
So, like, that's really the difference, is that you have a lot of working class people that have felt disenfranchised, and these tariffs will create that effect.
What effect?
And I think that it will negatively affect them in that way.
In what? Is it? I mean, I'm not even kidding. Is it just me, or did we just not understand a single word that he just said? I have no idea what point he was just making.
Let me go back. I'll see if there's any more of these that are worth looking at.
I'm not even kidding. Am I fucking mentally disabled? What did that mean? What the fuck did that mean? The chatter made a good point. Like, hey, well, they didn't really make a good point. The rich aren't necessarily going to make money through this, but they can have the money to be able to stabilize through it and buy stocks low. So then when hopefully it inevitably rises, they can build their wealth back. But what point did he try to make there? Like, did it go over? Sometimes I feel like there are people who will say something so incredibly and extraordinarily fucking stupid that I feel stupid for not understanding what they were saying. I don't know what it is. I am disabled, but this case, he just didn't make sense. Okay, that's fair. Great. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Incredible. August, clip that. No. Well, maybe actually, if you think it's worth it. I don't know what just happened there. I think I'm fucking insane.
What I find so frustrating about the conversation around tariffs is that we all agree on the problem. We all agree that the deindustrialization of America led to the downward mobility of the American working class, deaths of despair, people working multiple jobs and not being able to afford the American dream.
We don't all agree to that. I disagree. That's not the... This is... Okay, listen. The reality is that the economy is always going to shift. The market's always going to shift. We have seen a massive shift, and a big part of that shift is technology. I think it's very normal to us, but like your phone is more powerful than like a PlayStation 3. You can shop from your phone, listen to music from your phone, play video games from your phone. You have technologies that make it so that you can have everything delivered to you. You go to a supermarket, there's automated self-checkouts everywhere. You have cars that are driving themselves. You have massive technology that's moving rapidly to the point of being able to take away your job because it will do better than you at your job. A robot will always be better than you at your job, and that's a fact. And with this radical market shift, we are kind of not even, we haven't come up with a solution to deal with it yet. Because no one's really talking about it because they don't get it. They're seeing that we are, that there's fewer factories and there's less work, but they don't understand like what's happening. They were like, no, we got to get that back. But the reality is that they're just disappearing because of technology. And until we finally realize like, okay, this technology exists to help us and make our lives better. Until we realize that, we will not implement the solution of figuring out a way to tax those technologies and redistribute that wealth in a meaningful way. That's what we need to do. So I don't agree that I don't care. I don't agree with what she's saying. It's just that we have to figure out how to deal with it. Like, AI is a massive threat. AI looks through the internet and goes, I'm going to collect all these images and make my own image. No one's getting paid for that. Like the people who actually drew that shit aren't getting paid for that. We have to figure out how to tax these technologies and redistribute that wealth in a meaningful way. You have conservatives like Milton Friedman even talking about negative income taxes, which is basically just giving you money.
We all agree that it is deeply unfair for the American middle class to be bearing the burden of unfair tariffs from other countries. We all agree that it is great for the president to have leverage in order to demand reasonable things, like that country stop allowing fentanyl to murder 100,000 Americans every year, and that Mexico do its part to police its own border. And yet when somebody has the courage to show up and say to Wall Street, screw you, I'm waging class warfare on behalf of the American working class.
What? This has never been a narrative from Trump's administration. And she intentionally left out Canada because she knew that would make her look stupid, even though Trump's one of his bullshit arguments was to tariff Canada to make them go after fentanyl more, even though they did do it. And they still that's the progression of it was we're going to do a trade war with Canada because the trade deal sucks. Then he realized he negotiated the trade deal. Then it was like, no, they have fentanyl coming through. So Canada committed $1.3 billion to the border. And then Trump was like, no, we're still going to do a trade war with you. Trump is just looking to fight.
Damn, she said it.
What did she say? This is just a narrative spin. This has never been the Trump administration's perspective.
Wow, that's right.
What?
That's right.
And you elites in Wall Street, you do what you need to do because I'm not going to stop fighting for the American working class. Suddenly, everybody's sitting around going, oh no, the stock market. Yeah, the stock market looks like that because the rich are punishing Trump for siding with the neglected and humiliated American working class over that. We have
the richest person in the entire world sides with Trump. What you're saying makes absolutely no logical sense. I don't even know how dumb you'd have to be to believe her.
I think the humiliated part is really important. It's what I was mentioning before about the dignity thing, is that people feel like they don't have dignity to live lives in a way that they feel comfortable and confident in. And because of that, it's caused them to have like a deep-seated like resentment of like the, like any powers that be are wrong, basically. It's burning down the system.
Maybe that's true. Okay.
Already seen these tariffs work, Pierce.
Sure. That's probably the most compelling argument about this situation is that any society or a group of people they're only willing to put up with so much oppression before they snap and they engage in some kind of revolutionary perspective. And there probably are a lot of middle-class Americans, especially that don't live in more like robust areas. Like I live in New York, so our poor here look different from the poor in Arkansas, where you have towns that used to be very dependent on the factories. Those factories are now closing, either going to another country or they're being automated away. So people are losing their jobs and they're going on permanent unemployment and permanent disability. And they're probably feeling really frustrated and stressed out, and they don't know what to do, and they don't really know what the problem is, and they don't know what the solution is, but they're turning to somebody who they think does know the solution, and that's Trump. And right now, this waging of this trade war is going to economically destroy us, and it's also going to make us incredibly untrustworthy to every single other country in the entire world. We're going to lose our standing. We're going to lose our power, our presence, and our ability to have influence on other countries because they're ready to burn it down, right? That's probably true because they've been oppressed for so long. That's true. Neither party, I think, truly advocates correctly for for anybody. Democrats are probably better, but they don't truly advocate. There are millions and millions of dollars from lobbying groups that are controlling the narrative. Those are really, to some degree, the oligarchies. There's the big businesses, the rich, which support both sides. Like Elon Musk, richest man in the world. What side does he support? So sure, that's probably true. But that doesn't mean that the tariffs are smart, okay? There's not.
The number of people crossing the southern border is at zero. Fentanyl is at record lows for the last 10 years. We have already seen $1.2 trillion in manufacturing invested in this.
Do you personally buy the idea?
A lot of the manufacturing investments are coming from like technology investments, which come from Biden's CHIPS Act. Just to be clear, we probably keep that in mind there, buddies.
The admin is waging class warfare in favor of the working class? No, I think Trump is I think Trump is doing what Trump always does, which is destabilize things to a degree where nobody knows what's happening and then take advantage of the chaos. I think that's what he's doing.
If you think that's what he's doing, why do you like him so much? What?
Since January 21st. So they have already.
It's so weird because you have people like Asmongold and that Nux Taku guy who they play this game where they are politically right, but they say like, no, guys, we're kind of just memeing and we're just like talking about the chaos and we don't really care. Like they think it's cool to be lackadaisical. I don't care, dude. And then they acknowledge these different, like they'll say things like this, like that, whatever he said, like, oh, they're just taking advantage of the chaos. Do you think that makes you look like a good person to acknowledge that? Like, I don't really understand. It's weird, but he'll just be like, no, I don't really care, because these people are millionaires who have no investment into the increases of any tariffs. They don't care if the price of coffee triples or the price of technology fucking quadruples. They don't care because they can afford it. They already have what they want, and they can just not care. They can invest in the stock market being low right now, and they can see a massive return once things restabilize. They just don't care. Like they just act lackadaisical. They don't care. They don't shower. They don't do anything. It's weird, and it's so strange that these effectively these rich incels are like so. They have so much sway. It's just so bizarre. Like their words carry so much weight. It's like more weight than me. It's incredible. It's just so fucking strange.
Worked. Now, how long is Wall Street going to keep trying to punish this president for standing the American working class? I don't know, but I can tell you that the view from the street is people cannot believe that there is a president who is working for them, who is putting them first and telling Wall Street to go screw itself. Wall Street, which picked the Democrats for the last 3 election cycles in a row. That's what the real story is.
Yeah, the reason why Wall Street picks Democrats is because
Democrats are better for the economy.
Democrats can control young people by fixating them on identity issues and keeping them away from class warfare.
Yeah, okay. So, but anyway, the Democrats are better for the economy. Objectively, I don't know what I mean. You guys can be upset about that, and you can listen to whatever delusional rantings from Asmongold you want. You can believe what you want. You're wrong. Democrats are better for the economy, at least modern Democrats. Obama inherited a recession, and he turned it into a decently stable economy. Jobs were disappearing because of automation, and we haven't figured that out yet. So I understand that your issue there, but he had a good economy. COVID hit, the economy crashed because COVID. Supply lines have been shutting down, all over the world. Things went crazy. Biden brought the economy out of that. He did a great job. Biden did very well. Oh no, he didn't. Oh, because the economy was bad. Yeah, he inherited a global disaster, right? So like, there's only so much you could do. He brought us out better, faster, stronger than every single other economic global leader, as well as most of our other Western allies. Inflation was high, absolutely, because there was low production because things shut down to COVID, which was real. If you don't believe COVID's real, maybe click off the video. So supply lines it was difficult to produce things because of COVID. And then, especially in America, he put out a big stimulus package. So there was a lot of money. So there was high demand, low supply. That escalated our inflation worse than a lot of other countries. Absolutely. But we came out stronger. So obviously the gamble paid off, right? And then Trump comes in and he crashes the stock market with these ridiculous tariffs. which frankly are probably amounting to just a big fucking cock slap, and then he's going to back down off the tariffs before they get implemented by the 9th. It's just a big scare tactic. Trump does this all the time. I mean, at least I'm hoping. He does this thing where he's like, I'm going to fuck the world up the ass, and then he actually just takes his dick out, like rubs it on your cheek. You know what I mean? He's like, I was just kidding a little bit, right? It's just this it's the art of the deal, baby. But we could hope. I guess we can only hope.
And that happened after again, Occupy Wall Street.
But he's just making up words. He's Asmongold's an idiot. He doesn't know what he was talking about.
That was the big shift, and that's why
he thinks that like Democrats are completely out of touch, and it's not what that is. It's that like, conservatives are incredibly stupid. Like conservatives are very dumb. They're very stupid. I people need to understand that like not the average conservative, like MAGA people are incredibly dumb, and your average conservative is just kind of ignorant. Like, that's what it is. These people are very stupid. And we have to understand, like, MAGA people are legit cultist, moron, idiot fucking freaks. And then, like, conservatives like my mother, they look at this and they go, like, yeah, there are some general problems happening here. But here's, okay, this is what I want you guys to understand. This is, like, real. There are, like, two general types of conservatives. There are the MAGA cultist, moron, fuck freaks that are no idea what they're talking about. They're incredibly stupid. Half of them are Russian bots on the internet, so don't even engage with them because that's real. And they think that Trump is a god because they grew up with religion being everything to them and always praising some kind of like a king figure. They were looking for a king. Like, we created a religion. The Christian religion was created by kings to push this idea out there that these people came from God and you should praise them and listen to them and don't question their authority. And that's what they believe in now. Trump is their modern day kings. And then the rest of the conservatives are incredibly ignorant and go, this guy's not that crazy, but I'm generally conservative. That's what it is. Like, that is my mother in a nutshell. She looks at some of the things happening. She's like, you know what? I think I like the general ideas from Trump. I generally like the idea of making more stuff back in America. I generally like the idea of toning down some identity politics, generally speaking. And then when he says I'm going to tariff the fuck out of everybody, I just don't believe him because he's just being a little silly and crazy and just being a little inflammatory. That's what most conservatives do. And now that these tariffs are getting implemented, they go, oh, wait a minute. This guy's actually he's actually incredibly stupid. I didn't realize that he was dumb. Pray for the best. Hoping it goes well. Those are the two types of conservatives. Just letting you know. So we'll see what happens.
Democrats support, they get a lot of support from Wall Street. It's because it's the best like misdirection that's out there.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Asmongold's he just talks. He just says incredibly stupid things.